Alright, I'm done with the Hand of Thrawn and I'm here to talk about it. Definitely a mixed bag, but overall I thought it was pretty good. The standout plotlines were definitely the ones relating to the Imperials. The first being the one with Admiral Pellaeon seeking to make peace with the New Republic, and the second being the one with Major Tius, Flim, and Moff Deesra, and their plan to undermine these peace deals, as well as thrust the New Republic into a civil war and trick the galaxy into thinking Thrawn has returned. You really do get the sense that the Empire is in such a hard place at the moment that what is best for them and for everyone else in the galaxy is to make peace with the New Republic. But I do love seeing conniving, villainous Imperials, and we definitely get to see that with Pellaeon's opposition within the Empire. I really liked seeing everyone react to this fake Thrawn and how convincing he actually was. There's moments where Flim is thinking on his feet and having to improvise without anyone else's input, and he is pretty convincing. Like when he's able to guess that certain people he meets are minstrels, these special sort of warrior women. And he is well researched, so when Lando asks him certain questions trying to trick him and maybe reveal that he's not actually Thrawn, he's actually able to trick Lando and Han. But right at the start of this story, we're introduced to two things. Multiple data cards that are found in Mount Tantus. One is the Hand of Thrawn, that leads into Luke and Mara's storyline, and one that is about a massacre or a genocide that is orchestrated by Palpatine. And with this genocide, there is the revelation that multiple Bothans were actually involved in letting this genocide happen. And the Imperials use this as a way to sow discourse within the New Republic, which leads to orchestrated riots, attacks on embassy buildings that Han and Leia are involved in, and almost a full-blown civil war within the New Republic. And a lot of this being planned by Major Tius, who is allegedly an ex-Imperial guard. And this is a character I really did enjoy, and the revelation that he's actually a clone was totally unexpected. In fact, when he first sees Flim in his Thrawn getup, I figured that it was a clone of Thrawn at first, and when it was revealed to just be a con man, I was a little disappointed. But the revelation that Tius is not only a clone, but someone with Thrawn's own intellect being implemented in their development, that was a great reveal. And it leads to Tius essentially flying into a murderous rage and then immediately getting his neck snapped. And we are kind of jumping to the end of this plotline, but I love when Admiral Pellaeon shows up, calls out Major Tius, Moff Deesra, and this fake Thrawn, and foils their plans. They were really pulling one over on my boy Admiral Pellaeon. And I'm glad at least at the end of the duology he gets what he wanted, a peace deal with the Republic. And I'm excited to see how that relationship between the Empire and the Republic develops in the future, though I already remember certain things about it, so I kind of know the basic trajectory of the Empire and of Pellaeon's character. Though there are two other books that were released after this that I have not read. The first being Survivor's Quest, which is set after the duology, and the second being Outbound Flight, which is referenced in this duology and in the Thrawn Trilogy. And I will definitely be doing reviews of those books eventually. I did find some things a little disappointing about this duology. One, the complete absence of Chewbacca and the Solo kids. Though I understand why the kids can't really be involved given their age and the kind of stuff their parents have to get up to. But it was a little sad to see Chewie get sidelined with babysitting duty and being relegated to Kashyyyk with the Solo kids. And I did find a lot of Talon Karrde's storyline to drag on a bit, but he does get a cool moment at the end where he helps Pellaeon, he gives him the information about Flim, about Major Tius, and he also sets up a deal with the Empire and the Republic, where he is essentially an information source for both parties. And I really liked how his character relates to Han Solo's. Leia even tells Han that she thinks Karrde would be what Han Solo would be if they weren't together or if he never joined the rebellion. But by the end of this duology, Karrde is more in line with Han Solo. And throughout these 5 books, I've come to really like Talon Karrde's character and his development. I'm not sure if he's that much in the New Jedi Order series. I can't really remember a lot of what goes on. It kind of blends together because there's so many of those books. But when I eventually get to rereading those, I do hope he pops up again. And other than the Talon Card plotline, another plotline that I thought dragged on a little bit and got kind of boring at points was the plotline with Luke and Mara. Though there were still things I did enjoy about it, like the Hand of Thrawn being Thrawn's base in the unknown regions, and it being a black fortress with 5 towers. That's why it's called the Hand of Thrawn. I thought that was awesome. It was a really cool reveal, and I saw some article saying it was stupid. Whoever wrote that can go fuck themselves. But when it comes to the actual plotline involving the Hand of Thrawn, it was a bit of a letdown, though I did like the reveal of all of these Chiss being in the unknown regions working for Thrawn. And when I read Outbound Flight, I'm sure I'll learn a lot more about that. And I know that book is written after the prequel trilogy, so I'll be interested to see how that story plays out with the given context of the prequel era. And I'm pretty sure Anakin and Obi-Wan are a part of that story in some capacity, so I'm looking forward to that. And I like the stigma associated with clones. Basically, all of the characters in this story exhibit some sort of dislike or uneasiness when encountering clones. And I'll be interested to see how that is reflected in Outbound Flight. And in the Thrawn trilogy, Luke speculates that Yoda went to Dagobah to hide because of the dark side cave that was there, and it would basically mask his presence in the Force from the Emperor. And he figures that maybe the dark side cave is like that because a dark Jedi died there. And then in this, we hear that is basically what happened. Some Jedi who went bad in Outbound Flight made his way to Dagobah, where Yoda was basically waiting for him, and they had this big epic duel, and that's what created the dark side cave, and that's why Yoda knew to go there after the fall of the Jedi. And I feel like I had always known that Yoda was there because it was able to mask his presence. And I'm pretty sure on some level I did know that he had dueled some kind of dark side user there in the past. And hopefully that is in Outbound Flight, because that would be cool to see. But back to the Luke and Mara plotline. A lot of it was really just the development of their romantic relationship. And also they interact with these aliens that you can speak to if you are in tune with the Force, who when they first show up are kind of like creepy and weird. And I thought it was going to be some sort of dark side creature, but it was just a weird alien species on this remote planet in the unknown region. And they help Mara and Luke out quite a bit, and that was awesome. Really interesting designs, really interesting idea for an alien, because they look like animals, but they're clearly a lot more intelligent than just animals. And there's that scene when they have to hide from these insects that are in this cave, these giant bugs, this river of bugs that are passing beneath them while Mara and Luke are holding onto the walls of this cave that they've cut handholds into to avoid these insects. And one of these aliens that is accompanying them through this cave, I guess to try and impress his friends and the Jedi, is swooping down and eating some of the insects. And he's showing off for his friends, he's showing off for Luke, and then the insects just devour him. I don't know how, but something goes wrong and they get to him and they're basically just eating him alive. And Luke tries to use the Force to lift him up away from them, but by the time he manages to get him up, he's already dead basically. And that was horrific, and I loved it. And when it comes to Luke and Mara's romance, I like that it's not generic. It's not a typical romance subplot. It's more about the connection they have with each other through the Force that deepens, that draws them together romantically. And by the time the duology ends, because of the unique way their romance develops, I was pretty satisfied by the end of it. I was a little surprised when Luke asked Mara to marry him. Like, I knew they got married, but I don't remember them ever talking about how they weren't dating or anything. They just decided to get married. Though, because it's the connection they have with each other through the Force that leads them to getting married, to being with each other, I actually really liked it. And it's to the point where they can essentially read each other's minds pretty easily, understand exactly what each other are feeling. They're so connected. It's really nice to see, honestly. They deserve it. They deserve to be happy, goddammit. Though I do know how Mara's story ends, and I'll be sad to revisit that in the future. And something I really did enjoy seeing was the fallout of Dark Empire, or at least Luke reflecting on his experiences dabbling in the dark side and how that has negatively affected a lot of his life. He attributes his past relationships failing and a student falling to the dark side to the fact that the dark side was lingering within Luke because of his decision to wield the dark side in Dark Empire. And like most of the expanded universe, I do plan on covering Dark Empire in the future. And when it comes to this duology, I'd say it's a solid 7 out of 10, probably closer to an 8 than it is a 6. The Thrawn Trilogy is definitely better, though it's not really a competition. I just prefer the Thrawn Trilogy over this duology, but I'm sure most people do. And that's really all I had to say. This was just a basic overview of the duology and my immediate thoughts, because I have just finished reading both of those books. I do kind of want to get right into Survivor's Quest and Outbound Flight, though I am going to be taking a bit of a break from reviewing these EU books, and when I return I will be reviewing Labyrinth of Evil, which is probably one of the first ever EU books I read as a kid. I distinctly remember borrowing it from my school library multiple times. That and Shatterpoint, which I don't think I ever actually returned. But yeah, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later.